something besides just talking to the screen, I think would be smart. Come on, Lindsay. I'm just gonna talk like this from now on. I like this. I like this style. Hey.
It's really, like, honest to God, like, kind of like,
hey, how's it going?
Well, I'm doing good. Don't tell me that we somehow forgot stuff there. Dude, the dude literally said that, and me and Quinn were sitting there saying, "Where is it?" And then he was like, "Yep, all done."
Son of a
Yeah, and we were sitting there going, "Where's our 60,000 other ones?" We literally sat there and said that. And that's what the guy said. He literally comes up and he goes, "Oh, actually, you have 3 pallets and this thing." Okay. Me. Okay. Headed back. Thanks.
So what we're doing today, and if you can see from the parabolic nature of wherever the sun is, we're literally having to drive back to Kent because the guy loading up the pallets missed an entire pallet load, and we did not get notified this until we were all the way back down in Olympia, and so we're now on our way back, wasting 3 hours of our time, and then we'll have to go offload all this stuff and get back now 3 hours later than we had planned for the day. So I do this and also drive the car. So, and today we're driving a 26-foot truck, so it is not the quietest. Could you just say your name again? Fuck us. Okay.
Do you have a lot of experience with weed law?
Yeah, if you're gonna work in cannabis in any state, you need to become an expert. Like,
yeah.
That's if you're gonna legitimately, okay. So here's the difference. If you're a manager of a store, you should kind of understand the do's, the don'ts, the broad, kind of the broad stuff, And then we're never gonna, I'm screwed. Because everyone can go so much faster than us right now. So there's that, right? It is your job, if you're the owner of one of these things, is to be able to see what changes are most likely going to happen. For example, the number of people that will try and sell you something in this industry that say they're never going to allow more marijuana licenses, never going to happen, is one of the dumbest phrases I've ever heard. They are going to remove the monopoly at some point. I don't know if that's 5 years. I don't know if that's 10 years. I don't know if that's 100 years. But at some point, they're going to remove this weird cap of 500, the max is 500 stores in the state of Washington. That's going to be removed, right? Oregon has no cap. If you want to open up a coffee shop, you go down, you apply for the business license, you deal with the health department, you have a coffee shop, right? You want to be a CPA and you want to have a CPA practice, you can literally become a CPA and run out of your home, right? There's no cap on how many CPAs there's allowed to be, right? The market will decide what the demand is. And so it's the dumbest thing for anyone to think, like, the Liquor Control Board in literally 3 years already went from you're only allowed to own 3 stores to you can now own 5 stores. Why did they feel the need to change that? There was literally no reason to change that. And they just did. And so, like, that already shows, like, they're going to keep changing this. We have new laws every year that come on the books and new updates. There's new packaging that just came out around, like, now you're gonna have to do this and that, whatever. So, it is what it is. But yeah, if you are going to be in this industry and you genuinely want to be an owner of one of them, yes, you need it. As an owner, it is never your job to be the widget maker. Most people get into being a business owner because they know how to make a better widget. Most of the producer processors in this state grow great weed, or used to grow great weed, or knew how to grow great weed. That's a fact. Most of them. The problem is a lot of them are going out of business and losing everything because all they focused on was growing great weed and thought all the other business aspects would just take care of themselves. Dude, some of the greatest winemakers in the world have gone out of business. Okay? Yes, you need to make a good product, or a great product, or a good enough product, depending upon your price point and your structures. But the number one thing you need to be doing is figuring out how to make sure you are competitive, that people are buying your product, and that people are satisfied and happy and want to come back and buy again. We've had people be like, well, we sell you the cannabis, now it's your job to sell it to the consumer. No, man. It's my job to make sure that whatever that person buys in my store, that they like it and that they want to come back and buy something else from me. Okay? It is not our job to push your good weed or bad weed, whatever it is. It's not my job to push your product. Your product has to compete on the shelf with everybody else. And that's where, for most producer processors, they don't get it. It's their job to push their product through to the end consumer. It's not the retailer's job. For example, coffee makers. Someone's going to walk into a Walmart today, and they're going to look there, and they're going to look at a Keurig and a Mr. Coffee, okay? It's Mr. Coffee and Keurig's job to make consumers want to buy either one of them. Walmart does not care which one you buy at all. They're making the same margin on both products. They're not going to carry them, right? They really do not. I mean, and then the one that's going to get the better display space, get the end cap, that's the one they're going to make a better margin on. So you only get premium display if they're going to make more money on your product, not if they're going to make less. And so that's the whole thing where just to answer the question of how much do you need to spend on the legal side of it, you need to spend more on it in cannabis because there's more regulation, just because of the culture and the nature of the industry right now.
So what do you think how do you think that legalization of pot in Canada is going to affect the U.S.?
So the legalization of cannabis, which as of Friday was 108 days from them being able to sell, in all honesty, that doesn't even matter. Having Canada actually okay, now you can sell it. They've been selling it and shipping it across the entire country for a couple of years now. The big thing is twofold. One, there are already 8 public companies that are taking those funds and investing them into the U.S. market and basically have an unlimited amount of capital ability to raise because there's that much interest in cannabis. So what that does is it takes all the stuff that the states did or the laws, all this stuff, have it be mom and pop, and let the little guy who was in it before is going to wipe that off the map. There is a video you could pull where I was being interviewed in Canada. I said the amount of capital is going to come in and hit this industry like a tsunami. Like it's literally just going to wham, and that is already happening. You now have billion-dollar companies or billion-dollar companies with billion-dollar valuations, and so everybody has to realize that they have to be raising capital in some way, shape, or form. Now, it's not all doom and gloom for the U.S. market because we're now behind them, right? We still have issues of getting normal lending, so we're paying higher rates, we're having private equity, all those kind of things. MedMen is already public on the Canadian Stock Exchange. That's the big difference. So the big thing, what does it mean for the U.S. market that Canada's going to legalize? It means, the number one thing it means is the U.S., we are counting days, maybe months, of when it's going to go fully recreational legal, decriminalized in the United States. So what does that mean? So that means is if you're in states, let's say you're in Oklahoma and just went medical. So let's use Texas, because Texas still is illegal there, right? So let's say the Congress decriminalizes it, and you're in a state that has no current laws on marijuana. Okay, it's now decriminalized. Can you grow it? Can you sell it? Well, if they go the route of just decriminalizing it across the board, that literally means that there's now no laws on the books. For example, in Texas, there's a lot of laws around like what do you need to be able to ship alcohol or open up a liquor store. All those processes are already in place. Those processes won't be in place. So there's going to be a lot of Wild West going on, which is going to affect a ton of people. For example, Washington State has 47% tax. That's 37% excise tax and then sales tax on top of that. So depending on exactly where you're at, somewhere between 47 and 49%. So with that much tax, if you're doing it legally and doing it in their system, the U.S. Congress decriminalized it across the board. If anybody is now wanting to just ship weed to someone in Washington, is that illegal? It's tough. It's technically illegal inside of Washington, but for the person shipping from outside of the state, was it illegal for them to do that? Was it illegal for that consumer to just purchase it? And number two, get off of legality. That's the number one thing that happens all the time with weed. Well, what's legal, what's not, whatever. It's what are they going to prosecute? Okay, what are they actually, what is the DEA, the FBI that are actually going to spend their time to get angry at somebody? Good example right now. CBDs, the DEA came out and said CBDs, as long as it's below the point that they already said, they clarified and said it's 100% legal. You can grow it, you can ship it, you can do whatever you want with it for CBDs. Okay, so if that's the case, you're in Washington State, to have CBDs are in the system, for us to sell it, we have to charge 47% tax. But someone can literally go to a gas station and buy it with no tax, because that's legal. And so those are the things that's going to affect when the U.S. falls, and the U.S. is going to fall so quickly because Canada went legalized. So you need to make agreements, business decisions, understanding what's going on today and what's affecting you today, but where the puck is going to be. And that's the big thing where a lot of people get hurt. Here's an example. We have a location. It's not the best location because it's not right off a freeway, which we prefer, or it's not next to like a very popular area. But we couldn't be at those areas because there was parks, daycares, schools, things that they zoned out. Zoning for cannabis is going to become less stringent. You will eventually be able to basically put it anywhere that's commercially zoned. You're going to be able to put it right next to bars and be in that commercial district. So people are all going in and buying locations and overpaying for them because the value of that location became more important and supposedly more valuable. But when that changes, because it's going to change, they're going to be at a disadvantage. So it's trying to figure out how do you set yourself up not only for success today, but long term. And that's the big thing that Canada is going to affect greatly. So the two big things is recreational, fully decriminalized cannabis in the United States is going to happen way, way, way faster because Canada went legal. And number two, the other thing that's going to occur is now it is even easier to raise capital in cannabis. And therefore, if you're not doing that and not raising those capital, you are basically, you could literally line up a calendar and say, okay, how long am I going to be open? Am I going to be open 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Because competition's going to come in with real capital, with scale, making larger deals. And what the thing is what people don't realize is it's not that they do anything illegal. It's not that they are unfair competition. They just remove the margin. They say, okay, well, I can make money at this margin because I'm selling this much more. I'm selling 4 times as much at half the margin you are, and I'm fine with it. And they have the capital to say, yeah, that makes sense, and they're trying to get a return on their investment. And so that's when people sit there, and that really becomes this great divide of like, and especially in cannabis is extremely price conscious because people view it as the exact same thing. When you go and you're looking at a burger at McDonald's and a burger at Burger King, at least the burgers are slightly different. People literally don't even differentiate that. So if that's the situation, long term. I love this when I'm driving because I get to talk and drive at the same time. But that's the big thing is just it's access to capital. So if everyone else raises all this money, you need to raise money. So it's just another thing you have to do and compete against. Just like 5 years ago, guess what? You didn't need to be on Instagram. Wasn't even created, but you didn't even need to be on Instagram or Facebook. If you had a medical store, you just put a green cross out on the sidewalk, and that was all you had to do when people came in. And everyone would tell everyone, "Oh, there's that medical shop there." So everyone knew who you were, and if they had a medical card, they were going to come to you primarily off of convenience and those kind of things. And that's no longer the case. Now there's umpteen stores. Convenience is a big thing, price is a big thing, and you have to compete and work harder. So that's the bigger thing is it's Canada going recreational and decriminalized is becoming, it's more competitive, and it's only better for the end patient and consumer. I just gotta make sure I don't miss it. I think that was it again. I may have missed it again. Picked up our 4th pallet. I didn't know that I was gonna have to talk for. This episode, you're gonna take a bunch of this and scrap it. I guarantee it because you have a lot. First episode back of Behind the Wonder. Oh, one thing is you do need to watch the first episode of Behind the Wonder. We want to improve the graphic.